not harder. So hopefully you'll find some real gems here. I know I certainly found a lot when I was actually looking through and putting this together, reading a few books and a few different blogs and articles to help me work smarter myself. So hopefully you enjoy it and it's useful for you. So before we get into the actual subject matter, what we're going to do is once again we'll draw your attention to the InTouch Success site. So this is where we put all of our videos, all of our blogs, everything that we think you might find useful about InTouch. Also all the great videos that we put up as well to help you get more from the system. So do go there. Obviously we will be putting this up there in a few days' time for people to have a look at, but everybody attending tonight gets the first preview. So also, do follow us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn as well. We do push out some great content, some conversation starters and everything on those social media sites. So do follow us because you probably will find a few little tidbits on there as well that we may not cover in tonight's webinar. Introductions, well, that's me. I'm Matthew Ruddle. I'm the Customer Success Director for InTouch. Do, again, link up with me on Twitter and LinkedIn. Hopefully I can share some knowledge or some random stuff on them. But that's me. Hopefully I've spoken to all of you. So it's my job to make sure that myself and my team look after all of our customers around the world, no matter where they are, no matter what size company they are as well. So we've worked with some one-man bands down the road from our office in sunny Weston-super-Mare, right the way up to some very large global organizations, global competitions as well. So there's one actually coming up in September. So what's actually the agenda for tonight? So the agenda for tonight, I'm going to share some general tips with you. So it's not going to be a webinar that's all about InTouch and how you need to use InTouch for this. I'm going to share some general tips with you because actually when I was looking through all of this and reading a few books and articles and blogs, there are some things in there that I kind of sat back and thought, you know what, that's actually a really good idea. So I wanted to share that with everybody on this. Then we're going to look at systemizing it with automation. So there's a few little things there. I don't want to give the game away too early on, but there's a few things there that we'll take a look at. We'll do a bit of a Q&A, so if anybody's got any questions, and if we've got any pre-prepared ones that people sent in, and then we'll go for final thoughts and we'll look at what's coming up next on the calendar, so you can book it all in. So, first of all, general tips. Well, the first one, as I was putting this together and planning on what I was going to say, planning is the first tip to help you work smarter, not harder. Because let's face it, how many of us actually go into the day blind without knowing what we're going to be doing? When we sit at our desk in the morning and we're going to go, right, first sip of the coffee, what are we going to do next? What's going to be, our plan of attack for the day? And if you don't know that, then it's the same as setting out on a road trip. You've got to have a rough idea. You've got to know where you're going to end up before you can actually start off. Do you head north? Do you head south, east, west? Do you even leave the house? So you need to have a plan of what you're going to do, and this will feed off into things I'll talk about in a bit. But knowing what you're doing, where you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it. Who you're going to do it with. So, knowing who you're going to send an email to and actually what you want them to do, is all really related to actually helping you to keep those plates spinning, but actually work smarter. Because let's face it, if during this webinar we can give you some ideas or what you can actually do to save yourselves a few minutes, a few hours, maybe even a few days here. It might cost you some in the first place, so it might cost you a bit of time, but in the long run you'll get it back. So planning is absolutely key, because otherwise all those little jobs that you think are important will get ahead of you, and the ones that will end up making you money or save you time by doing them straight away can get lost in all the volume and the noise that happens and passes your desk or your shops on a daily basis. But with that plan comes goals, and you need to be able to set yourself goals of little milestones of what you're actually going to achieve today. Because when you open up your emails in the morning and you see there's 3, 4, 500 emails there, and you just go, it's going to be a very long day. Being able to cross those off and actually say to yourself at the end of the day, what have I done? What have I actually achieved today? And looking back at the goals that you set, not only does it help you keep on track with what you're going to be doing throughout the day, but actually when you come to switch off your laptop or your computer, grab your coat, and you think, well, what have I actually achieved today? And looking back at those goals and actually celebrating success. You know what? We have a policy in the office that on a Friday afternoon, when we've had a good week, well, there's beers in the fridge, there's wine in the fridge. That those of us who aren't driving, and we can drink responsibly, can celebrate success of the week. Just relax and kind of go, look, we've achieved something this week, whether it's a new piece of development, whether it's bringing new customers on board, or actually looking through some of the customers that we've helped and seeing them get great results. So celebrating success. Don't go setting 101 different goals for you to achieve today. Set realistic ones. Start with bite-sized chunks. Well, if it's to clear your to-do list from yesterday and finish that off, well, good, great. There's one to start with. If it's to make sure that you end the day by writing tomorrow's to-do list, that's a really good goal, because again, you're ahead of the game. You're planning tomorrow today, and again, there's a little bit of leeway just in case something else comes in. It's entirely up to you. But just set those goals so you can measure them as well. Then it's about automating some processes. So what in your life are you doing manually that actually there's something out there, whether it's using InTouch or whether it's looking at even doing things on your phone or something like that, where you can just automate things. Business cards. How many people go to network meetings? How many people end up with a drawer full of business cards? You know what? I went to an event the other day, and I was going to end up sitting here typing in all those details into the system. So guess what? I had a quick look. I took 5, 10, 15 minutes to have a look, Google it, look on my phone, look at the App Store, everything like that, to look for something that would allow me to take a photo of the business card and then put it into a CSV file. I can then do a data load into the system. Wow! You know what? It cost me $4.99 for an app. It's called WorldCard. I believe it is. Let me just double check for you. Yeah, it's called WorldCard. So tried it out, liked it, and by the time somebody had made a cup of tea, I was halfway through my business cards. It wasn't even a big round of tea. So just that little thing, me taking a little bit of time to find an app that now when I go to a networking meeting, like I am tomorrow morning, then I will be able to take those business cards, take a quick photo of them, export them, and load them up into the system and do whatever I need to with them. So it's just finding those little things that actually, rather than manually doing things over and over and over again, just being able to actually automate something. And it doesn't have to be this grand campaign or these millions of different steps that need to go all at the same time. It could just be something that, rather than you manually sitting there typing something, typing a response out to a customer, having a few set answers that you could do depending on your industry. Doing things like that can have a big impact for you. But then it's also learn. So again, I was at a networking meeting the other day where somebody was doing a 15-minute talk, and they were talking about quotes from films and quotes from books and stuff, lots of things that they've actually learned. And they started a discussion in the group of well, what books do you read? To help you develop yourself. And again, you kind of sat there listening to people, and I took a really good bite-sized chunk away from that I've now started to listen to an audiobook in the car, but I've actually done it at 2 times the speed, which seems a little bit bizarre, and you get used to it. but you're taking in that information so much quicker. But it's that learning element of setting aside some time so that you can read a book, read a blog, read something that's around your industry, something from your competitors, something like that, something that you can learn from, but you can then take that extra knowledge, that slightly different way of thinking, and then actually adapt it, change it, and work it into the ways that you work as a company or as a person to actually, let's face it, was it the quote is that Thomas Edison needed, it took him 10,000 attempts to make a light bulb. And when he was actually asked a question about this, he actually said, well, I found 9,999 ways not to make it, but I only needed one way to make it. So it's perseverance, but it's learning and using every bit of experience that you take and actually, getting towards your goal. And the more you learn, the better it is. Focus, though. Focus is another great little tip that I've kind of found. I read a lot of blogs on this, and there's a lot of similar themes around this, around saving time and working smarter, not harder. And again, focus. Don't waste your time on doing lots of things okay. Do one thing great, focus on that, give it all your effort, then move on to the next job. I also read a few things that actually said that you should set up a timer on your desktop for 15 minutes. Focus on a task for 15 minutes. Give it your all for 15 minutes. And as soon as that timer ticks over and starts a new 15 minutes, move on to your next job. Whether you complete it in that time, on that podcast, I would kind of question it. But again, it's that whole thing of focus. Shut everything off for 15 minutes to allow you to focus on something. Take yourself out of the noisy office. Go and sit in the library or coffee shop or something like that, and actually have that focused quality time with no distractions. Turn your emails off. Turn your phone off and just have that focus time to allow you to do what you need to do. And those are some of the general things that I actually found when I was reading some blogs and kind of thinking, well, what can I actually put into this to give you some extra insight? And the fact that you're all here means that you're focused and you're learning, which is great. Hopefully I'm sharing some useful stuff with you. But then it's all about, one of the things that I wanted to include in here is about systemizing it with automation. Now, being able to save yourself time is an absolute valuable commodity. Now, systemization is something that seems to be coming to the forefront in a lot of things at the moment. But if you think about it, there's systemization everywhere, even in places like McDonald's. If you buy a Big Mac down the road from your office or in your local town, it's going to be the exact same Big Mac that if you bought it in Blackpool, Liverpool, London, Weston-super-Mare, Timbuktu, wherever there's McDonald's in the world, they will all make the Big Mac exactly the same way. It's the same approach to it, the same learning, the same ingredients. It is literally bosh, bosh, bosh. And you end up with a Big Mac at the end of it, and it's a Big Mac because it looks like a Big Mac because that's what you've come to expect. But that's a systemized approach. They just teach people how to do that, and away they go, and that's it. So systemization can really help you because it means that you're putting processes and things in place that mean that you don't have to sit there and you don't have to copy millions of bits of content that you're just going to send out to loads of different people. It's a different way of working. Will it work for every business? No, probably not. But then again, there will hopefully be snippets that you can take away that will apply to your business. But one thing I wanted to kind of say about automation, automation is about doing things in a systemized way, having a process that works, and doing it time and time again. Because there's often a misconception that automation just has to be email, email, email. Well, it doesn't. Automation gives you different levels of functionality, so it allows you to create tasks. It allows you to create leads and sales, and it allows you to group in and send text messages, doing a lot of other things, putting different things into the mixer to get the results that you want out of it. And I wanted to include this in there because I saw this and I thought it's so true. At the end of the day, thinking differently about automation, the fact is that it doesn't have to be all task related or doesn't have to be all email related or communication related. Don't work hard, work intelligent. Think about something you currently do. Now, one of the things that you could actually think about is about how you deal with inquiries from your website. I'm not going to go into much detail on that at the moment, but I'll come back to it in a second. I'll leave you think about it. When somebody signs up to your website, what happens? What do you do? What is your standard process? Automation can also go for marketing, so it can work. And again, I'll just ask the question, what you do with your form? Well, here's a little hint. Well, you can send somebody an email that says thank you. You can send them the information that they've just signed up for. There's a lot of different things that you can actually do. But it's not just about the communications, it's about everything else that goes along with it. As I said, it's not just about email. How many of you have a process when a new customer joins you? Whether you're a membership organization, whether you're a franchise organization that takes people onto a business directory, whether you're a butcher, or, one-man butcher or something like that. There's always going to be a process of the ways that you deal with things. Whether you can put that into the system, it's entirely up to you. But little processes, like when you get a new customer on board, well, what happens? Okay. So you maybe get a signed sales order form. So right, there's a task. Create a task that says, have they completed a signed sales order form? Yeah, I can take that. I've accomplished something there. Have you invoiced them? Very important from a cash flow point of view, because have you actually got paid for the work? Whether you charge 50% up front, 100% up front, or 100% afterwards. It's entirely up to you. But again, asking that simple question of have you got the signed sales order form? Have you invoiced them? Then maybe, have they paid? Maybe then another task that says, have you cashed the check or sorted out the payment via SagePay, PayPal, credit card, whatever. So straight away, there's maybe 4 tasks there that you can create that you could have in an automated sequence. That actually then means that when a new customer comes to you, anybody can really deal with it, because anybody can get those tasks. Anybody can just simply go, okay, well, Fred Blogs has just signed up to our system, so this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. There's no ifs, there's no buts about it. This is the process. This is the way that you deal with things. And we've all got those processes in the back of our mind. It's just whether we've actually documented it and put it down on paper to actually try and save ourselves some time, so that when somebody does sign up new, you can go, this is the process, not what did we do last time? You don't want to be in that situation. You can see from the subtle little image that I put there, there are empty boxes in the middle of things. Well, it's about filling out those blanks and being able to add those tasks as part of an automated campaign. Now, that could be a simple linear one. I'd imagine it would be a linear one in terms of going one step after another, after another, after another, and not date-based. But I could be wrong. Every industry is different. How you deal with things, whether it's an internal thing, a customer-facing thing, it's entirely up to you. You know your customers better than I do. But on that, you could actually be tracking the business. So I said about what do you do when a website inquiry comes in? How do you actually deal with that? Do you put them into your system? Do you even use the forms in InTouch? If you don't, definitely use them, because it means that, again, you're saving yourself any manual process. I spoke to somebody the other day, and they get leads come in, and that's fantastic. They come from their website. They've done all the marketing work, so they've got great people come to their website, and they're getting people to fill out a form. But what happens when that form's filled in? Well, that form gets emailed to them. They then put it into a Word document of all things. Not a spreadsheet, but they put it into a Word document. Then They copy the email address into their email client, and then they send them an email, which they then copy from somewhere else. So straight away you think, there's a lot of manual work there. But again, how do they track the business? So once they've sent that initial email, what are they actually going to do? What's their follow-up? How do they make sure that they don't let that bit of business potentially fall through the cracks? And one of the great ways is that when somebody signs up for a web form, you can actually link it in with an automated campaign. That automated campaign is going to save you a lot of time and make sure that you don't forget things. Because in the first instance, it can have a touch point with the customer, i.e. send them an email, send them something that says, hey, thanks for registering on our website, we'll get back to you shortly, but don't worry, your inquiry has landed safe and sound with our team. Ideal, because from the customer's point of view, they know exactly what's happened now. They know the next step as well, because somebody will be in contact with them. Now, what can also happen there is that a lead could be created in the system to say, okay, well, this person is worth potentially £100 to me. Great. I'm going to start recording that piece of business in my system. The contact's gone into my database as well. An email's fired off to the person at the end of it. So I'm starting to do these multiple actions that actually, you know what, the next time somebody signs up for my website, I don't need to worry about it. These are happening. Then you do the smart thing of adding a task into it as well, so that it makes sure that you do actually follow up on that. So when that email goes out and says, you know what, we've got this, we'll come back to you shortly. Yeah, that task is there to remind you to do that, because there's nothing worse than sending the email and then waiting and never getting anything. So by recording the leads, by recording them as a task as well in a simple automated campaign, straight away you've done 2 or 3 actions that are not only customer facing but are helping you to sort your house out as well. So sort your stuff out. You can, as I said, you can create a lead and you can actually put it into different areas of the pipeline. So again, if you've got different forms, then why not set them up so that they feed different areas of the system? I mean, with the different pipelines, you can obviously have it as the completely brand new inquiry. Obviously, you can change the titles of them, or you can have a form that basically says, well, this is my order form, so I've just got to fulfill it. And again, that can go into the system with 99% probability that you're going to convert it, because somebody says, yeah, this is my order, this is what I want. And then you can obviously go and fulfill that and get the money in. But never forget that you can actually put leads into an automated sequence. As I said, it's not just about email. I do want to hammer that home because there's often that misconception. But one thing that you can actually do as well, if you do have multiple forms, is as part of the automated campaign, you can actually have people going into different groups. And not just different groups, but you can then have them removed from other groups. So if somebody signs up on your website and says, I don't know, if you're selling food and you go, do you like Coke or Diet Coke? And somebody fills out the Coke one today, well, they can go into that group. If tomorrow they say, actually, I prefer Diet Coke, then again, as part of that automated sequence, they can be taken out of one, put into another, based upon their actions, not yours, their actions. You set everything up in the back end in terms of what that automated structure looks like, but what it actually does saves you time then. And again, it's just working smarter, because you want to be communicating with customers because you want them to know that you've got their inquiry, or the piece of work that they're paying you for, you've got that dealt with. That's all in hand. So by doing an automation, it means that it's saving you a lot of time and effort. But it all comes back to them at the end of the day, because I could sit here and I can talk to you about it, automation until the cows come home. Yep, that is a West Country reference. So I could do that, and I could say, well, this is what you need to do, and you should click this and click this and click this. But you know your business better than I do. I've worked with probably most of you and had conversations with most of you about various things, so I have an understanding. But what you're doing right now, today, what you expect from it, from that new inquiry that's come in, from that existing customer. You obviously know what you can do, what you'd like to do with them. So it's about planning. And again, it's about saying, well, at what stage do we, if you're a membership organization, do you contact them to renew their membership? At what stage do you, ask somebody for a review when they become a customer of yours, or they sign up on your website to review restaurants or whatever? If you're a car garage, well, when somebody's MOT'd you, when do you start talking to them? Do you start talking to them a day before, or on the day that their MOT's fixed, only to be found that, only to find that they go, oh no, sorry mate, that was sorted last week. Again, you can do these different things. And again, creating a flow chart so that you've got a visual representation of the processes, not only mean that you can see it on a piece of paper in front of you, and you can say, okay, well, no, that doesn't make sense anymore. But it also means that any member of the team can pick it up. And they can go, oh, okay, that's how we deal with X, Y, Z. And again, a problem shared is a problem halved, or something along those lines. But again, just being able to document something means that by you taking that extra time, and yes, it is extra time, it means that you're saving yourself in the long run. What you sacrifice today, you get back tenfold tomorrow. In terms of actually planning it better, then I use a tool called Glyphy. It's a great flowchart tool. Then obviously you've got Microsoft Visio, or you've got a pen and paper, or if you're worried about chopping and changing it, then you've got a pencil as well. So and obviously a rubber. So make sure you do plan it out and go from there. So Q&A. So I'm just going to throw the floor open. Obviously, we haven't really discussed or looked at the system too much at the moment, but I'm just going to throw the floor open for any questions. So let me just open the chat window. So obviously, if you've got any questions, then raise your hand or put them in the chat window. We have been asked, obviously, to go into a lot more detail on automation. So actually, the next webinar in 2 weeks' time is going to be all about automation. It's going to be a step-by-step guide, and we're going to use some real-life scenarios of customers who want to build automation. So by all means, if you want us to take a look at yours, then let us know, and we'll put you on the list to have a look at. But are there any questions at the moment about automation, about how you can get more, how you can save yourself some time in the system? Is there a process that you want me to look at the moment and kind of say, well, actually, me asking the simple question of, well, why are you actually doing that? Maybe you're shy. So, if there are no questions, I don't see anything coming in on the chat either. So you can obviously email me. So my email address is matthew.ruddle@intouchcrm.co.uk. Tweet me at Matt Ruddle with any questions as well. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But my final kind of thought on this, on about working smarter, not harder. If you noticed, I'm not taking up an hour of your time tonight because I'm thinking the weather's quite nice at the moment. So why am I going to drag you onto a webinar at 7 o'clock in the evening to hear me talk about working smarter, not harder? I'm extending your day here, so I'm not going to keep you much longer. But my final thought is, you know what? Draw a line in the sand. Take your time to actually work out some of your processes and work the kinks out. Yes, it is going to take you a bit of time in the first instance, and that's again why you draw the line in the sand. But what it takes you today, if it takes you an hour, 2 hours, half a day, you know what? By working out your processes can save you so much time going forward. It'll just be ridiculous, and that is an absolute promise. I've done this exercise. I've sat here in the office, in the boardroom, in fact, and I've tried to work out some of our processes so that actually, when we have new people come on board, when we have somebody who's not sure about something, we have that guide, we have that document, we have that flowchart, that process that basically says, right, if this happens, do this, 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 this. Again, they've got the opportunity of asking questions, but we have those processes in place. It's because we took the time, and actually that saved us a lot of time in training and getting the team skilled up. So draw a line in the sand, set yourself some time, and have a look at your processes and see where you can trim the fat, where you can become more automated to actually work smarter and not harder. Okay, so what's next? Well, what's next is, as I said, on the 24th of June, so in 14 days' time, at the same time, 7 o'clock, we're going to do a webinar specifically on automation. So this is going to be a step-by-step look at automation of how you actually go about building it, why you'd use some of those elements, but also then we'll use some live scenarios that customers have given us or that we've worked with customers on to build different processes, not just using emails, but also doing little things like maybe chucking a survey in there. And if you're not sure about that, we'll come onto the webinar in 2 weeks' time. Obviously, there's the URL for all future webinars, so do go and have a look at that. You find them on the support site, so again, have a look at that. It's got its own section for webinars, so do have a look. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn for more goodies and our blog posts and everything. Do follow me on Twitter as well at Matt Ruddle or LinkedIn. Find me on there if we're not already connected up, and we'll have a chat. But for everybody who's attended tonight, thank you. Hopefully it's been good. Hopefully there's been some nuggets of information there for you. And hopefully it means that we save you. Maybe you can get a holiday or something like that. But obviously, do join the next one because we will be going into a far more detail on automation. There probably won't even be a slide deck. We will just dive straight on into it. So do join us on that. Obviously, they are recorded and put onto our knowledge base for you to watch back as well. But have a good evening, and look forward to saving you some time. Thanks, guys. Good night.